Hey, it's Nancy, the nurse practitioner. As we grow older together, problems keep happening, situations keep happening, and we have to address them. And the last video I did for you was regarding addiction in the family and how we're dealing with that. And now we're dealing with another whole problem, totally different. It just so happens that one of my husband's relatives lives with somebody that he moved in with probably 30 years ago. So he's now 63, she's 88. And when they moved in together, he had no place to live. She was a single woman, and he pretty much took care of her home as far as outside work and etc. She was competent, she was teaching, things were fine. At this point in her life, she is now forgetful, paranoid. She is worried about the water being turned on. She refuses to take a bath. So I got a call from Jim saying, "Hey, Nancy, would you come give so-and-so a bath?" And I said, "Sure. When's the last time she had one?" And he said, "Well, she hasn't been in the bathtub or in the shower for probably a year. And somebody from Jehovah's Witness came like a year before that and gave her a bath." So I started to think, hey, what's going to happen to Jim, who lives with her, once this person passes away? She has no husband. She has no children. She has no will, it turns out. She hasn't seen a doctor in many years. And she has two relatives. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that it's not good to wait till crisis to determine if one of your family members, A, is going to be homeless, B, or when the person passes away. And the second thing I'm realizing is that he's not being compensated for anything that he is doing for this person who is now totally unable to take care of herself. As far as bills, preparing meals, washing clothes, cleaning up the kitchen, mowing the lawn, all that stuff. So he's been doing all of this on his own. And so I did get a hold of one of the relatives who is taking care of her money now, and we got a hold of an elder lawyer in the state that we live in, or the state that he lives in, which is New York. And she and I Zoomed in together with this gentleman, and the Zoom was really good because this person would not leave the house. She's always in her pajamas. She doesn't even walk on the driveway. She can walk. She is a little incontinent, and she does not remember me every time I've been there, which has been like 4 times, not a lot. But her short-term memory is really bad. So we had a Zoom meeting, and I want to go over some things with you that's really important, because when you have no children, no family members, first of all, you don't want your things to go to probate, and you want to make sure that the people that you loved, even if they weren't relatives, do get whatever is yours. It could be your grand piano, or it could be your cat, or it could be your money. The only thing is if you don't put it in writing, your wishes will not be met. And only if you have a really close family member that's honest and caring, that would say, "I remember that so-and-so wanted this to go to so-and-so." So you have to be very careful to make sure your wishes are known. So we're going to go over some things about what incompetency means, and this is really important to know. So I'm going to do a little bit of reading. You can pretty much look this up on Google, but it's important to realize that once the person becomes incapable of taking care of their own needs, their bills, their personal care, they don't know what day it is, they're not bathing, they're barely eating unless someone cooks for them or gives them food, they are pretty much not able to take care of themselves, and they would be safer in a nursing home, especially if there's falling or they have some disabilities with walking or seeing. It just so happens this person doesn't really have any of that. She doesn't wear glasses. She can read. She can write her name. Um, she hasn't had blood work in like as long as I've known her, probably 15 years. Has had no contact with the emergency room. She's kind of out of the system, and so has been Jim. So at this point, me being who I am about preventing medical crisis, which is the name of my book, Caregiver Success, uh, it's important that we think about these things as well. Like what's going to happen to Jim when this person dies? So let's go back to incompetency. So it's the inability to manage your own affairs due to a mental incapacity. That's either a deterioration in your mental capacity or that you have psychosis. I will say I tried to give her a bath 2 weeks ago and I chased her around the bathroom with a washcloth, and she was afraid that I was wasting her water and that she would have to mop up the floor for the 100th time today. Obviously, not a true fact for this person who doesn't do that. The other part of being incompetent is sometimes due to serious physical disabilities, they're incompetent. You may need to appoint a conservator or a guardian. And so this particular CPA or person who's doing her monies, paying her taxes, the water bill, all that stuff, her Medicare, he is wanting to be her guardian. And that's fine as long as we can start looking at some other things that are important, like how will Jim be reimbursed in the state that he lives in with her for doing all the outside lawn work, washing her bed linens, making her bed, preparing her meals, buying the food, involved with any kind of indoor cleaning, although she is a hoarder and the house is really cluttered. He changes filters on stuff. He's taking care of cutting down dead trees. He's involved in shoveling the walkway when it's snowing, all those things. So we're going to talk about how we can kind of navigate that issue if you have a problem with a personal family member living with somebody. So first you want to find out, is the person incompetent? And it was obvious during the Zoom video that this person didn't know what day it was. She didn't remember seeing me ever before, which I've been there a few times, like I mentioned. She was able to remember long-term things, but she couldn't remember what she had to eat an hour ago. So in order to declare somebody incompetent, there's another step, and this is what the elder lawyer is going to be working on, is filing a petition to the courts to get guardianship for this gentleman who is the accountant. And it will deem that she's incompetent first. And I did admit that I felt that because she couldn't take care of her personal affairs, her personal needs, she had very short-term memory, that she was pretty much incapable or incompetent. And incompetent means a lack of legal ability to do something, especially to testify or stand trial. There is no way this person could do that. And an example of being mentally incompetent or incapacitated, I should say, is having dementia, a brain injury, or a severe learning disability. So they're considered mentally incapacitated. So the difference between incapacity or incompetence, incapacity is used in legal terms, incompetence is used in medical situations. Okay, so there's just a little difference in that, and this particular person falls in both categories. Incapacity is similar to incompetence, though, in that it describes a person who can no longer take care of themselves, their health and safety in daily life, and is unable to enter into any contractual arrangements knowingly. So during our meeting, I noticed that we were trying to keep Anne engaged, this person, and to ask her if she understood what we were all talking about. You can tell that she wasn't quite following everything that was going on. She would stop and tap my hand and say, "What's going on? Who are these people?" That kind of thing. So you kind of knew that she wasn't keeping up with us. So there is a Mental Capacity Act, and there's some principles that need to be followed to make sure that we are using good judgment and not using the incapacity of this person, you know, to not a good interest for them. So principle number 1, always assume the person is able to make their own decisions. So you need to start with that. And when you're talking to the person, you need to actually, turn to them and say, do you understand this? Can you repeat what we were talking about? Do you understand, what we're going to be doing? And actually ask them some other questions so they don't just say yes. Principle number 2, you should always be able to show that you have made every effort, this is a good one, to encourage and support the person to make the decision themselves. So you want to make sure they feel like they're a part of this. They were contributing citizens, were able to make their own judgments, go to work every day, pay their taxes, and now they're in a different place, but they are deemed and due respect to be able to be involved. Principle number 3, if a person makes a decision which you consider unwise or eccentric, this does not necessarily mean the person lacks the capacity to make the decision. So it was really interesting. While we were sitting there and we were talking, we were asking this person, who do you want to leave all your possessions to? And she said, well, you, meaning me, and this accountant are nice people. I'll just leave it to you. And of course, that doesn't make any sense. She barely knows me. And I know she had other people in her family, this cousin and a sister that lives far away, that probably would be more appropriate for anything that belonged to her. Interesting, right? Here's another one, the Best Interest Act. It's not to discriminate against the person and take into account all relevant situations and circumstances. 1 is the ability to evidence a choice. 2, the ability to understand relevant information. And this is what I mean. When we were on the video chat, I kept including her and saying, do you understand what's going on? Number 3, ability to appreciate the situation and likely consequences. Ability, number 4, is to manipulate information rationally. So who determines whether a person is mentally incompetent? Technically, a physician and a psychologist need to determine that she is through a mini cognitive test. And either you could draw a clock or do a 3-word recall. But the one that I'd like to go over the most is the mini mental exam. And I use that a lot in practice. It was a pen to paper test, 11 questions. Women tend to have a better verbal, so they tend to score better on these tests, and Alzheimer's and dementia is found later in women. Men have better visual spatial, so that's where they usually shine in these tests. They do show that men have Alzheimer's earlier. It's interesting. So they're finding that since women are living longer and they're the ones who are having Alzheimer's that was not caught, they're kind of looking at this mini mental exam to determine if there's something that needs to be tweaked so that we could pick up on the women earlier. It's called an MMSE, a mini mental state exam. You can look at it online. The test looks like this. I got this on BC Guidelines advisory committee. It looked a little involved, which it really isn't. They just made it more wordy than it was when I would administer it. It was always a 1-page test. But the maximum score on the test is 30. I remember this test very well because I administered it so many times. And you can download it and do it for yourself. The one good thing about these tests is when my patients would come in every 6 months, I would do it again and have them do a test to see if their score was lessening. And these are some of the questions. What year is this? What season is it? What month is it right now? What day of the week is it? Heck, I have a problem with that one because I'm retired. You get 10 seconds for each reply, so you can take your time, make your mistakes, and then get the right answer. Then it goes into what country you live in, what province or county you are, what city are you in, what part of a building are you in. So if you're in an assisted living, you could say, I'm in this facility on the second floor. And that shows that you know you're not in your home, you know where you are. Then there's one for 20 seconds. You're going to name 3 objects, and I'm going to tell you what the objects are, and then you're going to need to repeat them after something else I'm going to tell you to do. So remember these objects. And the objects are like ball, car, and man. So you have to remember that. Then you go on to this word world. You spell it for them, WORLD, and then they have to spell it backwards. And every which way that they spell that word determines if they get 5 points for the 5 letters being in the right direction, 4, 3, 2, 1. So this is how you get the scoring. And you get 30 seconds to write the word world backwards. Then there's the next one. Now, what were the 3 words that we talked about a few minutes ago that you had to remember? And you don't have to say them in the exact same order, but it could be man, car, ball, instead of ball, car, man. Okay? And then you're going to show them your watch. What is this called? And they're supposed to say a wristwatch or a watch, not a clock or a timer. Okay? They also get 10 seconds by showing them a pencil, not a pen. You're showing them a pencil. Of course, this is a pen. And they need to say pencil. They can't say pen. They don't get a point if they say pen. So must hold up a pencil. And then you're going to say a phrase. No ifs, ands, or buts. And can they repeat that phrase without any mishmash? They get 10 seconds. And then another thing for 10 seconds is you're going to write on a piece of paper in big letters, and this is part of the paper, is close your eyes. It says close your eyes. And they're supposed to read it and do what it says. If they just read it, but they don't follow the direction and do what it says, then they lose a point. Okay? And that will take probably, I think you get up to 10 seconds for that as well. Then the next thing is for 30 seconds is write on a piece of paper a sentence, a complete sentence. It doesn't matter how you spelled it. And the sentence must make sense. Okay? So in this packet, just so you know, it comes with the paper to write the sentence. It comes with the piece of paper you cut off for close your eyes. It shows you all the variations to the word world, so of the spelling of that. So the last part is you're going to, in 1 minute, you're going to say, copy this design on a piece of paper. So you're going to take 5 sides of a figure, and you're going to connect it. And they have to also copy that on this side. So this is determining visual spatial for them. Okay? And the last part for 30 seconds is you're going to tell them to take their non-dominant hand, take this piece of paper, fold it in half, and put it on the floor. So that if they're lefty, then they're going to use their right hand, which is non-dominant. If they're right-handed, they're going to use their left hand, which is non-dominant. They're going to fold it in half and put it on the floor. And so at the very end of all of that, which doesn't take too long to do, is you're going to be able to score everything. And it shows you the scoring, the test, and it will help you determine if somebody's cognitive abilities of thinking, remembering, are slipping. And by doing the test like every 6 months, it helps you determine whether or not you may want to consider a neurologist or some other help as far as their cognitive, so that you can help them with their memory. All right, so back to the gym situation. We are in the presence of waiting for the elder lawyer to go to the court to deem this person incompetent and incapable, so that they then can file for the CPA to become her guardian, which they get paid for to be a guardian. And but that also means getting a call in the middle of the night if she goes to the hospital, getting a call from the person in the home if she needs something, that kind of thing. So being a guardian just doesn't mean you get a stipend for just having uh, that job. There is a job that goes with it besides paying her bills and dealing with that. She's also going to get a will, and she did agree that her two family members that she hasn't seen or spoken to will get everything that she has, which totally makes sense. And then we're also going to be working on what to do for Jim, since he doesn't have um, ability to. He doesn't have a credit card. He hasn't even gotten his Social Security activated yet, and he's 63. I'm going to help him with that. Going to look into. I found out that there's no Section 8 housing where we live for him, but there is, aging in place, and also for people over 60 for finding housing. We got him Fidelis for insurance because he doesn't have any job. So he really is just like making some money here and there from the neighbors. And also, I spoke with two companies that deal with caretakers living in the home. And technically, he should be getting paid for living there and for taking care of Anne. If Anne were to be moving, if he wasn't there, she'd be in a nursing home, or she would be having somebody from an agency, which would cost a lot of money, like $12,000 a month. So, just to give you a feeling about that, if you are taking care of somebody in your family and you can't work, you may want to look into CDPAP, which is Consumer Directed Payment in your state. You can look into that. You also may want to look into ZipRecruiter and see what they pay. There is a minimum wage of $20.74 for someone to take care of someone. Since she's not getting personal care and I've been doing it, I mean, I don't mind doing that, but we really need to get the doctor in, maybe get her on some medication so she's cooperative, and then get somebody else to come in, to give her a bath like twice a week. I was able to cut the mats out of her hair, and I was able to put on some new pajamas after I gave her a bath last week. I actually did put her in the shower and she was in good mood. So that was great. Taking care of our family members and making sure that everybody's safe, that we do our due diligence to make sure it's fair, you know. And I'm looking for what we can do for Jim for the long haul. I don't want him to be living in a cardboard box, at 65 if Anne passes away. And so that's what we're working on right now. So I just wanted to share my latest story with you, everybody. And you can look up this mini mental exam. Feel free. It's a tool that's used all the time by primary care physicians and clinicians such as myself, a nurse practitioner or a neurologist. And you can actually download it and do it yourself. It has really good directions. It tells you how to do it. And then you can actually show this to your clinician. They'll be floored that you did it. And you can see that there's some slippage going on here, which is really good to keep track of. All right, so please subscribe to my channel, Caregiver Success, and check out my other videos. I also have a book called Caregiver Success, It's a tool book full of tips and tools to prevent medical crisis. So from Nancy the NP, Happy New Year, everyone. And here we go. Stay well, God bless, and I'll see you at the next video. Bye.